Joe,
Tuesday night.
the the stage is
Best
set.
show.
The stage is set, Joe. Gosh,
Yeah.
I gotta remember. I gotta hit start on that, and then I gotta go over to the tunes, and I gotta hit play there. Can you? So, folks, you got to tell us. Do you like the tunes? Look, we know it's just for the pre-scalp. I'm a huge music fan, so I don't know. But some folks are seeming to not like the tunes, but I say they're not going anywhere. What do you say, Joe?
I can't hear him, so it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I said the stage was
Unfortunately, but
I said the stage was set, for the main act because it looks like our show starter, our opener finished. You know what I'm talking about, Joe?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Our opener finished. We thought there for a second, we were like, oh my gosh, I'm not really worried about other YouTube live streams tonight, but if the Dawn is on TV tonight, we're going to have a hard time getting people on. What a crazy day it's been in the media. We're not talking about that, but I'm glad that's over. That way we're here for our stuff, for our show. And it's Tuesday.
I'm just glad I didn't get indicted today. That's all.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you didn't either, Joe, because
That's a bitch.
That would have broken our 9-week straight show routine. But you didn't tell me you've been sick. What? Sick?
Yeah, so I've been cleaning out my garage the last 2 weekends. I know there's 2 of them. Joey, I'm on live on YouTube right now. Can you shut the door? Thank you. This is what happens when you have kids.
Yeah.
And they're excited to get that they got Pokemon cards. I see you. Yeah, so I've been cleaning out my garage the last 2 weekends, making room for my Thunder laser that's going to be coming in soon, hopefully this week.
You said that was supposed to be like a surprise or something.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, unless you really know about lasers, no one really knows what it looks like. So,
gotcha.
And we're gonna be doing a little thing maybe every Thursday on that as well. But yeah, so it was rainy this weekend. It was cold, and I really don't dress warm when I do shit. I just put on like a hoodie, and I don't care. I just want to get the shit done, kind of thing. So I was running electric, and yeah, it was a pain in the ass. So,
well, I'm glad your voice is holding up this evening.
Yeah, it feels. I mean, that's the power of medicine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Antibiotics.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, thanks for the feedback, Super TA. Everybody in the chat, welcome. We've got 214, 213, 12, 11, 10, the pre-scalp. If you don't know, folks, if this is your first time with us on Tuesday nights, it's our pre-show. It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to make fun of the term pre-scalp that if you know me, I think it's kind of silly, but whatever. Some people like it.
I did my second pre-scalp this week, so.
Well, good for you, Joe. Pre-scalper. You pre-scalper.
Garbage men aren't going to be too happy about the trash can, but
See, I actually have a place behind my house. I told you sell stuff in bulk, and they told me if I have like grass clippings and stuff or any waste, just bring it over there and throw it in their compost pile. So that's pretty freaking sweet. I don't have to mess with the bags anymore. Of course, the new town I'm in doesn't do the bags like the old one did. So
we can just use those big green trash cans.
Oh yeah, and they'll dump those.
And they'll come and they'll pick up the big green trash cans. Actually my trash day is tonight. It's always Tuesday nights.
Yeah, ours is tonight, and they come tomorrow. But we'll talk about here in a second why I did not put the trash bins out at the curb. Hey, what's going on, everybody in the chat? Grassholes here, Doghouse Lawn Care, Super TA, John. What is up, y'all? Where'd CEO? Was it Northern Colorado? Where'd he go? He said he was just here for the weeds. So I don't see him in there. But thanks for joining us in the chat for the pre-scalp. We're about inside 30 seconds, Joe. You got any last minute thoughts before we dive right in? Are you listening to me? Are you listening?
I am. I forgot about my most important thing that I do for this show, my contributions.
So it's okay,
Yeah.
Joe. I'll give you a pass. You've been Sick. You've been a little under the weather. Hey,
seriously,
hey.
I haven't slept in like 2 days. So
Nah, I feel for you, man. There is nothing worse than being sick. But guess what, Joe? It's time to go. We are not in the pre-scalp anymore. So we'll just, we'll kind of dial back these pre-scalp tunes for those folks that don't want the music during the real thing. But this is the real thing, Joe. And you know what the real thing means? It means that we actually have a show name now, thanks to John. And we are, what are we called, Joe? What are we called? I'm going to let you do it.
we are the Budget Water Show.
Wow, you gotta love that. Joe coming in hot with a pretty sweet logo. But the Budget Wooder Show, see, I told you when we decided on the Budget Wooder Show that at some point I was probably going to have trouble getting Budget Wooder out because it's just not in my natural dialect. But the Budget Wooder Show is.
Speaking of Wooder, my son, he's starting to finally say Wooder now.
Oh, you must be such a proud papa.
I am.
Hey, you know what, Joe? Sometimes you wonder if some of the things people say on their YouTube channels and the way they act and portray themselves, sometimes good and sometimes bad, are really who they are. But you know what? I have learned one thing about you, dude. You seem to be a really good dad. Now, I know we've both of us have probably made ourselves look a little punkish at times in some of our YouTube content, but it seems like every time I've texted you on the weekend, you're like, we're at the aquarium, we're up in the Poconos, we're like doing something as a family. So I'm always like, dang, I got to step up my game. I spent a ton of time with the family. We don't go a whole lot of places, but y'all are out doing some pretty cool stuff, it sounds like, from time to time.
Well, the Pocono thing, that was just me and the wife. We needed to get away from
the kids.
Oh,
you didn't tell me that. Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
who'd you pawn the kids off on?
The aquarium thing, we have a membership at the Camden Aquarium.
Oh, very cool.
So we try and go there at least once a month.
Nice.
And it's like get the kids away from the wife, so give her a break kind of thing.
You got to have that. Yeah, you got to. Good for you. Yeah. Hey, we're here 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 Central every Tuesday night. Thank goodness the dawn got out of our way today because I thought we were going to have some stiff competition. Yes, we do need that. That's my wife. We need that. I thought we were going to have stiff competition tonight, but he opened it up for the main act. We are here every Tuesday for you.
Hey, he knew we were starting.
He knew we were starting. Somebody must have told him. They said, hey, chop, buddy, you got to get out of here. Budget Wooder Show starting. You can't take up my time. Hey, Joe, you were scrambling around there at the beginning trying to come up with your tip, or not tip, but fact of the day. So what are we rolling with today?
So in 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded Microsoft, which became the world's largest personal computer software company.
Are you?
And like they say, the rest is history.
The rest is history. Are you a big Bill Gates fan? I know.
Nah. Nah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Microsoft. I use Microsoft. I'm not a Mac person myself. But
what's all the stuff about him flying around and his carbon emissions, and he's paying to extract carbon
mosquitoes
from the air and put it back into what? Come on. Is that real? Can you do that, or is that just like his PR statement?
Hey, I mean, his wife divorced him for a reason, so I don't know. We'll have to ask her.
I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, but hey, you know what? Maybe if this next person we're going to talk about weren't happily married and already just a superstar stud on the sports scene. It's our sponsor this week, Joe. And when I saw this sponsor come through, I thought, is this the pinnacle? Have we hit the height of our sponsorship deals? Is it really this good already? How can we go up from here, Joe? I know the true grass fans will be swooning over this one.
I think so. This is David Beckham's grass cologne.
That's the voice you've got for David Beckham.
Well, I could do a British accent, but it's really bad. This is a David Beckham. No, that's not a British accent at all. I can't do it. Like if I'm on the spot, I can't do an accent. It's hard to do. Um,
Do you need me to pull it back up? That way you've
yeah,
got
you
to.
need me to put it back up so maybe so I'm not staring at myself while I'm doing the accent.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I can see both.
You got to remember, my voice is not 100%. This is a David Beckham. He's from see that I'm going like full Borat there.
You sound like the Lucky Charms.
Okay. This is a David Beckham. This is a grass cologne. So, ladies out there, if you're watching this and you want your man to smell more like that sweet, fresh cut grass, and you like you fantasize with sleeping with David Beckham, get your man the David Beckham grass cologne scent.
Are you tired of your man smelling like ass? Let him smell like grass, David Beckham. Yeah. All right, that's good. That's good.
That was horrible.
Joe's been a little bit under the weather, so I'm just appreciative that he's toughing it out. I might have said, dude, I can't do it tonight. So let's all give Joe a round of applause for being here tonight. He's got his tea, no beer. Hey, speaking of under the weather, I want to get to that in a second, but someone was just asking me, what beaches do Arkansas folks go to? We typically go down to the Gulf Coast, anywhere from Fort Walton to Destin to Seaside, down to Panama City Beach, Mexico Beach, in that area. So that's our kind of go-to spot. But under the weather, Joe, we're not under the weather yet, but
under the board.
Severe weather season is here. Arkansas getting some severe stuff last week, some really devastating storms through the central part of the state. We have got watches and warnings headed our way for this evening. It's going to be a long night. I'm going to be up most of the night. It's just one of those things when we get severe weather in the forecast, I have a hard time going to sleep. It used to be one of those things where I could do it and just wake up during a storm, but now that you've got 2 kids in bed and a wife and you feel like you've got to make sure you keep a close eye on things to keep everybody safe, there's no point in even closing the eyes. But aside from the severe weather risk, Joe, would you say this is one of your favorite times of the year? Or would you point to another time of the year? I know you said one time that maybe fall is your favorite time of the year.
Yeah, fall by far is my favorite time of the year. Just I like that crisper air, just the coolness and the Halloween, the pumpkins. Like I'm a big Halloween person. So I have the pixel lights on my house. We'll probably talk about that in another episode. So I can change them to any color. I can do designs. So I'm like really into that whole the light scene and the Christmas scene. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, things are starting to wake up here. The grass is really starting to pop. I was gonna get fertilizer down this weekend, but by Sunday I was just beat up, so I didn't get to it. So I'm gonna do it sometime this week. My first app of the year. And it really hit the ground running and start, seeing this grass, come to life again. So,
well, we went through one little last cold snap, and here the last couple of days, it has been in the low 80s. Of course, this time of year, if it's that warm, that's like record heat in a lot of places around here. There's probably some nasty weather on the way, and that's coming in tonight. And then we're going to have a slight cool down, and then more warm weather is on the way next week. But I'm kind of one of those people that says, ask me what time of year I like best, and I will probably tell you the time of year that we're in. So spring, winter, I love winter when it's winter, and fall, you get what I'm saying? But man, I'm sitting here in front of the TV. We're doing a live stream. We're going to talk about weeds tonight, which are probably going crazy in people's yard. It's probably, you might love spring because of lawn season, but you might hate spring because of all the weeds. Well, we've got some tips and tricks to take care of those tonight. But gosh, when it does start warming up like this, I'm watching live from the Masters on the Golf Channel right now. The Masters is this week. We just went through March Madness. College baseball is, cranking up. The lawn season is about to get going. It's hard to compete with this. Masters this weekend. Tigers playing. I hear the weather's not supposed to be so hot in Augusta, Georgia this weekend. Do you keep up with the Masters at all, Joe? Is that exciting for you in the least bit?
No, I'm not a golf person myself. I mean, I grew up across from a golf course, and I used to just go in there and play flag football and home run derby, and get the cops called on us all the time. So that's as far as I come to a golf course.
Well, golf was a big part of my life growing up. Growing up on I say country club, and everybody's like, "Oh, you must have been like a rich kid." No, country club in a hometown, small town like I lived in was an old school country club. The fairways weren't lined with big fancy houses. We lived out in the country, and I was just fortunate enough to be able to play golf. My dad didn't pick up golf till he was in his 20s or so it was still a pretty new game to him, and that's how I got introduced to it. But lawn season is here. I mean, it is. I could probably scalp right now. I could probably do a lot of things in the lawn, but I'm holding back. And I got a video coming out this weekend that will kind of explain why I'm not starting yet. And not to mention, Joe, I did get word the front lawn starts its major renovation on Thursday. Now that's what I'm told. We'll keep our fingers crossed. It starts Thursday.
I'm expecting to see multiple camera angles, a wireless mic,
Oh, dude,
like
dude,
the works,
oh, dude,
just like everybody else out there.
dude, my GoPro Hero 7 will capture it like the finest of finest cameras that you can buy. Okay, but that will start Thursday, and when you're doing a project of this magnitude this time of year in the spring, what is the one thing you're worried about that it could really, delay the process? It could be a major hiccup. Rain, right? Spring, April showers, spring, May flowers. But I'm looking ahead at the long range forecast next week. Golly, we're looking at 80s and lots of sunshine, very slight chances of showers. So I'm hoping we've timed it just right for a good stretch of weather and it doesn't interrupt those plans. But if you're already getting into the lawn season and things are about to crank up big time for you, Joe, we didn't get to these last week, but I know these might help some people out. You did a video, I guess 2 weekends ago, that provided some really good information about an app on your phone that can help folks out when it comes to what, Joe?
To measure in your lawn, calculating your fertilizer, actual pounds per nitrogen, or how much you're putting down. It is obviously. Should I tell them what it is, or should we encourage them to watch it?
Joe, Joe, you know what?
Go
You
ahead.
tell them. It's up to you. I was just going to say that
Yeah,
if you're not subscribed to Joe's channel yet, go subscribe to Wooded Boy Productions and check out that video if you want, Joe. But you can give any details you want to right now.
It's the Yard Mastery app, and a couple of people reached out to me like, "Oh, I thought you had, fallen out with them and this and that." I said I did at the time, but I still use the app. It's a free app. I don't have to pay for it. It's right on my phone, and I have everything measured out. It's really helpful. It's really easy to do. Go check it out. A couple of people DM me on Instagram, and they're like, "Do you really use that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I find myself using it every year."
You've turned,
And
Joe, if they're not figuring this out yet, you've turned a leaf this year, right? You've turned another leaf, right? So
Yeah.
it's
this year
it's never too
this
late.
this year is I don't. I'm gonna curse. This year is the I don't give a fuck year, and it's the what, you guys do whatever you want. If your followers believe it, shame on them. And we've talked about it before, me and you, both on air and off air, and some people you're not gonna change them. And I had that mentality going the last couple of years, that especially last year, of you can change people and get people to realize what is going on out there in this world with affiliate marketing and things like that. And you're just not going to persuade some people. And you know what? It is what it is.
It happens in every hobby, Joe. I follow these different sports card channels I've talked about before, and there's one camp on this one channel that no matter what you say about their guy, the guy that creates the videos over there, you cannot make them think otherwise about him. Where this other camp over here, they're going after them and they're going back at them. and it doesn't matter. That's the beauty in all this. We can all have different audiences. Sometimes they might, those little diagrams where they kind of overlap in the middle. We can all kind of overlap in the middle over grass, but we don't all have to be the same. Because there are people that follow my channel that hate probably what other lawn channels do, and other lawn channel followers hate what I'm doing here. But as long as you've got the people that kind of see eye to eye with you and appreciate what you're doing and just want to come hang out like we're doing tonight, then who cares what everybody else thinks, right?
And by people appreciating what we do, we got 31 people in the chat right now. We need everyone. Smash that like button. It really does help out with the channel, helps out with the stream. So please, everyone, smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. That's what Travis says all the time in his videos. I like that. And subscribe to my channel while you're at it too.
Yeah.
I got some really cool stuff. If you're not all the way interested in grass, I got some cool stuff coming up in there on my channel. So yeah, make sure you do that. But
help us out, and Alt Browser, appreciate that.
But like you said, I'm turning a leaf this year. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. It's it really does.
Refreshing.
It's refreshing, and it makes it a lot more fun because we can drive ourselves crazy trying to worry about what everybody else is doing and trying to be a martyr or trying to explain to people how things work. But sometimes, no matter how much you want to explain how it works, that just doesn't work. Does that make sense? Hey, Joe, someone's asking, we got someone in the chat. Hey, Rich. Hey, what's up, Rob? Asking, who has cool season lawns? That's the cool thing about this show, Joe. We have cool season lawns. You're a cool season tall fescue. I'm a warm season Bermuda grass lawn. So we kind of offer a different perspective for folks, and we're not just talking about the same turf type, the same steps, the same tips, and the same tricks all the time. We kind of give a pretty good broad, bit of knowledge when it comes to the homeowner way of taking care of a lawn at an affordable price, without wasting too much time, and just kind of like the average Joe. No pun intended on your name, Joe, but that's what we give here. I did a video, it's been a couple weeks now, but our big topic for the night is weeds. So who is struggling with weeds right now? Raise your hand in the chat, because I look around my neighborhood and it's pretty clear who puts a pre-emergent down and who has a lawn service company that comes around and sprays all their fertilizers and weed control application, and who absolutely does not. Now, my front yard, because it's not being treated because of the renovation, is completely covered in weeds, where my backyard hardly has a weed at all. But I did this video 2 weekends ago that really explains, if you're new to this and you are not sure what all this terminology means when it comes to weed control, whether you don't know what pre-emergent, post-emergent, selective herbicide, non-selective herbicide, that video lays all that out for you. But I bet, Joe, we are probably going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So when it comes to weed control, Joe, what is your go-to product? What is your go-to brand that if you're going to the big box store, your local hardware store, that it is without a doubt, I'm buying this and not going to think twice?
Well, do you know what my original name of my channel was?
The Organic Lawn Warrior.
Yeah, so I got a lot of hate, a lot of just a lot of people weren't happy with that title, because my philosophy was I'm just going to use fertilizer and try to outcompete the weeds and have a thicker and fuller lawn. And I don't really need a weed control. And people got all bent out of shape about the fertilizers I was using wasn't, organic and they were synthetic fertilizers. And I was just trying to get people to understand my philosophy. So last year, again, I kind of turned over a leaf on that side of it as well, changed it to Lawn Warrior to appease everybody. And
well, you kind of took that name, kind of to the umpteenth degree as a warrior.
True, on the warrior
and
side.
And if you ask me, that's what I thought the whole meaning of the name was that you were coming after the lawn care community to spread the truth or whatever it was.
so my wife, she's very against the herbicide stuff, Roundup, glyphosate, things like that. And for the longest time, I couldn't use anything in my yard, and she just didn't want me spraying it because we have our gardens. We have three really large raised bed gardens in our backyard. We have raspberry bushes in our front yard along our fence line,
It makes it a lot
and
more tricky when you got all that stuff.
and she just didn't want that kind of stuff around in the yard. So I finally convinced her last year that look, the only way I'm going to get this lawn back to where I need it to be, where I don't need to use a weed control, is I need to treat these weeds with something. So I originally looked at Speed Zone, but
Hmm.
I couldn't find anywhere. Apparently, Speed Zone, you can't get it delivered to New Jersey, at least where I was able to search it at. So I had to go on another website and I found like the closest thing to it. I forget what it was called. It was, I think, we have the image. We
Oh,
don't have to
so
put it up now.
okay, gotcha. So
But I could have went to the big box store and got something. But
is
I've
Speed Zone a
honestly,
professional? Is that what we're going to see in?
it's yeah, it's like a more of a professional use. I could say you could say. I mean, you could still a DIY or a homeowner could still get it. It's
Well,
not like you
so
know they won't sell it to you.
so that's a good question for the folks in the chat. When you're shopping for any kind of lawn care products, are you leaning more towards, look, I just want to go to the big box store, the local hardware store and get a homeowner grade product, or are you looking for a professional grade product? Because if you ask me, Joe, I've been able to accomplish all my goals with one brand of products, whether it be for like bug control, just simple pest control around my house, in the garage, whatever it may be, weed control when it comes to pre and post emergent, and my go-to brand. This is not sponsored. I've never been paid a dime by this company, Joe. Everybody
You sure about
wonders and
that?
thinks that I am. Boy, if I had been, I'd have probably be rich by now, as much as I've talked about them. But Spectracide is my go-to brand, and the only reason it's easy for me to talk about it is because that's all I've ever used and always seen good results. And just like you mentioned a while ago, Joe, that you couldn't find some of the products in your area, the Speed Zone. I've been hearing here lately, if we've got folks from Texas in the chat, it looks like we do. Someone, not just someone, but several people have filled me in that you can't get the Spectracide products in the big box stores down in Texas. So I wonder what that is. If there's anybody out there that has any kind of insight on that, let us know, because the Spectracide has just been if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I use a granular in the bag as a pre-emergent, and then I use, whether it be like in the picture, the hose end sprayer, or just the concentrate that I mix up in a pump sprayer, or you can buy the ready to spray stuff, the ready to use, already mixed up, ready to go. Whether you buy any one of those three for post emergent, look, if you apply it by the label instructions and you follow just a few simple tips and tricks, these homeowner grade products can kill weeds in your lawn.
It,
And a lot of times you'll hear people say that, oh, that product sucks. I had terrible results with that. Oh man, that's terrible. Don't buy it. It's usually not from the product. It's usually user error. Have you
yeah.
used any of these homeowner things, Joe, or have?
No, not that, but I would say that. So I think the biggest difference between a big box store and as opposed to like a Speed Zone or the Triad that I used is that like a big box store might not go as far as as a professional or grade or a more of a not big box store grade. You might get more apps out of that as opposed to a big box store.
Yeah.
Don't mark my words, but I think that's probably how you can compare the two. And obviously, the ingredients are going to be probably a little bit stronger in not a big box store grade as opposed to like something you can get online from a professional site like a Do My Own or something like that.
Well,
But
these big box brands have to anticipate that it's amateurs,
I mean,
unskilled,
I
unqualified people using the products, and
that's
it
the
can
thing
really
that
cause
ticks.
problems.
And the thing that's one of the things that ticks me off the most. This will be my first hot take of
I
the
was
day.
about to say, Joe, we're early for the hot
Um,
take, bro. Slow down,
is
reel it back.
we some of these people watch these YouTube videos of people applying the shit in their lawn, and oh, they're gonna get this stuff banned someday. Well, it, if they sell this stuff in the store, they're I mean, what's these stores supposed to say to these consumers? Make sure you do it the right way, or make sure you read that label. Like, what are we gonna do? Ban everything out of these big box stores so people can't use it? I mean, it's there for a reason. It's in a big box store for a reason, for you to use it. Like, I don't get it. Like, we can sit here with a fine tooth comb and go through every one of these videos we see online, and I'm sure we can pinpoint something out that the person did wrong. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
just
and
like some
and
whatever.
that's why when people ask me, like, how do you apply this? What do I need to know about mixing it up? And that's my only thing I can say is follow the label, because I'm hesitant to give people the way I would do things. I don't want to steer them down a path that they're not ready for. But
Cyber Tech Freedom says it's available in Dallas sucks, Texas.
oh, nice, nice. How about them Cowboys? Hey, hey, you want to know how I really settled upon Spectracide though? I bought two of these hose end sprayers, and this is no joke. I bought two of these hose end sprayers in 2018, and the only reason I bought them is they were on sale for like $5. So I got two for $10. I still have one of those two. So when people want to bitch and moan and complain and point the finger and the blame at homeowners misusing herbicides and spraying them too much and not doing it the right way and following the label, I have not sprayed a post-emergent herbicide on my lawn since 2018. Now, have I done some spot?
You're an expert, Travis. You're an agronomist.
It's just like I saw on that license plate this morning, Joe. I sent Joe a picture of a license plate that I saw on my way to work this morning. It said science, and I thought, oh boy, got to send that to Joe. Got to send that to Joe.
That's my trigger word.
But I still have that one hose end sprayer, and I still have the Spectracide concentrate that I bought a long time ago on sale. Really, if you do, like you said, Joe, if you do the cultural practices, you're going to limit 90% of the weeds in your lawn anyway. So I do keep like a ready to use for my flower beds, just to get down and target individual weeds. That's about the only thing I do when it comes to weed killing. And I do weed prevention with pre-emergence. But if you're in the market for something and you need to kill weeds, look at this: 470 weeds, the Spectracide Weed Stop for Lawns, plus crabgrass killer.
I literally copied. I went on Spectracide's website and I copied just the whole thing that it covered,
And it
word
does.
for word, from top to bottom, and just pasted it in there. And I'm
Well,
like,
it's like the
how
fine
much
print at the end of a
is in there?
commercial.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah.
a few things on that, Joe. It does not cover Poa annua. So if you're looking to
Yeah.
cover like annual bluegrasses, not going to cover that. But one reason why I do like this one over, say, like a Bio Advanced or some of the other kind of all-purpose weed killers, this one has and I'm not even going to, the sulfentrazone. It is the active ingredient that kills the yellow nutsedge, and it kills it. So if you just need a broad range of weeds killed in your lawn, and you want something that's not going to hurt your grass, not sponsored, no affiliate link, the Spectracide does the trick. Now you got to be careful though, Joe,
Click that link below, guys.
hey, just hit that thumbs up, and that's better
hit
than
that thumbs up.
getting
That's
any
better than-
commission from an affiliate link. But you do have to be careful with this one, Joe, because the orange label Spectracide is not safe on some grasses. So if you've got centipede, if you've got St. Augustine, you need to be looking for the purple label. The purple labeled bottle is the one you should be looking for centipede and St. Augustine. Always read the dang label. And Joe, one thing I tell people too, because maybe you've seen this before like I have. Have you ever driven past a lawn and it's like spring season and they really didn't have that many weeds in their lawn, but all of a sudden you drive by and the entire lawn is completely dead? Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah.
What does
I've
that
seen it
typically tell you as someone who knows a little bit here and there. You dabble a little bit in lawn care. What does that tell you? I know what it tells me.
I, I to be honest, they have a really shitty lawn.
No, what it means to me is oh shoot.
My lawn looks a lot better than their lawn now.
Well, no, they went to the big box store and they were probably in a rush and they didn't know what they were doing and they grabbed a bottle off the shelf and they grabbed a non-selective herbicide. So this one here is a selective herbicide, which means it's going to select, it's going to pick and choose the weeds in your lawn to kill, but it's going to leave your grass alone. Where a non-selective herbicide is going to say, we're going to kill everything we touch, from your weeds to your grass. Whatever you spray me on, it's dead. Deader than a doornail. And I've driven past lawns before where you drive by and you're like, 1 week it's green with some weeds. You're like, oh man, they're coming out of spring pretty nice. And then all of a sudden you drive by a week later and it looks like a burned down hay field. It's just like midsummer weather already. It looks like it hadn't had rain in months. And they most likely chose the wrong herbicide. They probably chose a non-selective herbicide that kills everything, as opposed to a selective herbicide like this Weed Stop here in the picture. That one's not going to hurt your grass. It's going to kill the weeds. Now, here's the thing. It can hurt your grass if you over-apply it, so make sure you follow the label. Joe, if you had to, now these are kind of tough questions. Are you because Joe hasn't used a whole lot of weed killers because he's been more organic on his lawn on this front. But no, this was Western Mass Turf. This was clearly not a lawn renovation because they had sprinklers out going like crazy for weeks, and the lawn it was just right down the street from me, and I kept a close eye on it. And they clearly did nothing to the lawn after scorching it, and probably realized their oops and did whatever they could to just water it like crazy and get whatever made it through to come back. Because everybody around here has Bermuda grass. So if you were to scorch your Bermuda grass lawn with like a non-selective herbicide, most likely it's not all going to be toast. Some of it will somehow make it through, and that's really what happened, because it wasn't until the fall that the whole lawn actually filled back in with Bermuda grass. I drove past the house every day on my way to work, so I got to kind of slowly watch it turn green again over the course of like 4 or 5 months. Again, maybe they were doing something, but that's how it appeared from my end. But Joe, if you're going to use a weed killer, and maybe this is a good question because you haven't used a whole lot of them. Do you prefer, or would you choose one option over the other? Would you use a hose in? Would you mix your own up in a pump sprayer, or would you go with something ready to use? Can you kind of explain some of the differences in those for folks?
Yeah, I mean, so
I got you, Western Mass. Yeah, you're right, John. No weeds. They got rid of the weeds. Go ahead.
I mean, there's a couple different ways you can look at it. That's why I suggested, the hose end or something in a big box store. It's going to be ready to go. You hook it to your hose and you don't have to mix anything. Now, I'm sure Spectracide sells a concentrate. I can't say the word.
Concentrate. Just straight concentrate in a bottle.
Concentrate. Yeah, and you can mix it into a pump sprayer or a backpack sprayer, and it is a little bit more time consuming. I mean, you gotta definitely, you should be wearing gloves when you do this kind of stuff, but you should wear proper PPE, and you gotta fill that tank sprayer up. You gotta read the label to make sure you're putting in enough water to the amount of concentrate as well. You got to clean out that tank sprayer. You got to make sure that you clean it out in a proper spot and not in your street like some YouTubers do.
Did you see? There was a picture floating around the other day of somebody that was emptying their tank spray. I don't know if it was a joke or if it was real. Like they were emptying.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, "Where did you send me that?"
It wasn't me.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I can't remember.
There was somebody last year that did it, and thank God they did another video saying that we don't do this. But You
It,
could see, I think it was pre-emergent or they were spraying something, you could see the yellow from it, like, just being all in the road, and it was just like, you know,
find
it
you a
was bad.
bad
It was
spot in the
bad.
find you a bad spot in the yard. I
I
find
have
like a
I
dead
have a
zone.
bad spot. Yeah,
Find you a
yeah.
dead zone. Like
That doesn't run off. It's,
it's
just a spot
contained
in
in
your
your
yard,
yard.
to clean, your stuff.
I'm turning this one side of my house. I'm kind of calling it the graveyard. It's where I'm not doing a lot of fertilizing, not really caring about weeds or watering. It's a small strip between the fence and the house, a thin strip, and that's going to be my graveyard. If I got to dump something, hold something there, store something there, that's going to be the spot where I don't care. It's going to be the graveyard for everything that needs to go there to die. So, hey, one tip on that, Joe.
And Daniel brought up a good point about the tank sprayers, because actually he it brought up, because actually I got to do this. I got a new a tank sprayer to test out, our backpack sprayer, and yeah, I definitely recommend everyone fill it up with water, 2 gallons, walk your normal pace that you would normally walk, and figure out how many gallons per 1,000 square feet in your yard it takes you to spray out. And it really does. It helps you, because you got to know this stuff when you're doing a concentrate as opposed to a hose end, where it's mixing it for you. I mean, you do have to walk at a good pace. I mean, you can't just leave it in one spot, forever. But that's the biggest difference that I see, as opposed to this kind of hose end sprayer here.
Joe, I forgot something, and it has look. Oh, I knew something was off tonight. I knew something. That's going to drive me nuts now when I watch the replay. I'm going to go,
Yeah.
dadgummit, it was 41 and a half minutes into the video, into the show, and I forgot to turn on one of my lamps. I'm sorry, folks.
Shame.
I got a big checklist of
Shame.
things to do to go live,
I
and I
wish we had
forgot
that sound
something.
effect from
Hey,
Game of Thrones.
one tip though that I really like, Joe, and this is one that you can almost get for free. When you're mixing up your pump sprayer with your concentrate in your water, folks will go out and they'll buy a surfactant, and the easiest way to describe a surfactant is just something that helps something stick to something else, right? uh,
Yeah.
Degreasers or like Dawn dish soap. If you've got Dawn dish soap in your house, you can throw an ounce of that per gallon of water in your pump sprayer, and that will help act as a surfactant. Having kids, I've always used baby shampoo. That will help those products mixed with water stick to the leaves of those weeds and will help them be a little bit more effective. Now, how effective more, I don't know. But my dad gave me that little trick, and as I've gotten older, I've always realized that Dad's pretty well right on a lot of things. So I do it. You can buy surfactants, but maybe you have it in your house. Dish soap, baby shampoo. But sometimes with these weeds, Joe, we were talking about how a lot of times folks will say, "Oh, that product sucks. I wouldn't buy that one." Blah 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 blah. When it's usually user error, and there are some really simple things you can do to make sure you see the best results out of your weed killing efforts. Now, the easiest thing you can do is you can just follow the label. The label really does work. Have you ever read the label on one of these, Joe, especially these big
Oh
box
yeah,
store?
because I mean, speaking of surfactant, the weed killer that I used last year, if you read the label, it says you don't need a surfactant.
Okay.
It just plain out says it right there in the label. I mean, that's why. Um, I don't know if this one YouTuber, his name's Castleberry. I mean, he says it all the time in his videos. Label is law,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the truth. I mean, you really do need to read the label and make sure you're measuring out the certain ounces per 1,000 or whatever you're doing, and take the precaution when you're spraying this stuff. And you know, a quick story that quick story that I did. So when I was the organic lawn warrior, I tried to kill weeds with vinegar.
How'd that work
And
out, Joe?
well, let's just say I killed a Christmas tree by spraying it.
You did? How in your
Yeah.
yard?
So my son's first Christmas, we got a live Christmas tree. We went to a Christmas tree farm by us, and they have the ball already together, and we wanted to plant it, after Christmas. We just didn't want to you get one chopped down and throw it out at the end of the year. So we got a live one. So that first year we planted in a good spot where it wasn't going to be affected by anything. Well, the second year when we had our other son, we went back to the same tree farm, got another live tree, planted in the ground. And when I was doing a renovation, I wanted to use vinegar. So I was using, the 5% vinegar that you get at like, Great Value or, one of those stores. And I'm spraying, and it was probably a little windy that day, and I wasn't really paying attention. And this tree was just starting to get like a little brown at the bottom.
Oh,
And another
no.
week went by, and it just kept creeping up the
Oh,
tree.
no.
And I'm just like, oh my God. And it was a really nice tree. It was an expensive tree too. And yeah, so I had to dig it out of the ground, and we actually put it in our bonfire in the backyard. But
At least it got
yeah.
put to good use afterwards. But that's a good point, Joe, because
Yeah.
when you're spraying these things, if you have like ornamentals or flower beds, you got to make sure you're not doing this on a windy day. I mean, a lot of times the success or failure with these, just aside from following the label, is about knowing a couple simple things. But you're right with the surfactant. If it says don't put a surfactant, don't put a surfactant. But one of my tricks that I'll use going around like flower beds with my perennials that I don't want any damage to happen to them, I'll save me an old cardboard box, like an Amazon box or something, and I'll just, as I'm spraying along the bed, I'll hold that up kind of as a shield to keep any mist from accidentally touching the things that I want to protect. But when it comes to spraying the lawn, if you've read one of these labels before, and I give these same tips in my videos. Now, I've not created anything unique or special here, but a lot of times people just don't want to read the label. So if you make a video about it, those tend to, and that's why we have to be careful as video creators that we really give factual information. But everything I've done when I kill weeds with one of these herbicides is just follow the label. And those labels usually say, look, if you're going to kill weeds, mow 2 or 3 days before you want to apply, because these products are foliar. It means they're making their way into the plant from the leaves. They're not making their way into the plant from the soil or the roots. They attach to the leaves of the plant, work their way through the plant that way into the root, and kill the weed through the root by entering the leaves. They're foliar. So you don't want to go mow the lawn. Now, I've had people say, well, that works too, because it's like having an open wound on the weeds, and then if you mow and then spray it, that penetrates into the leaves better. So it kind of makes sense, but that's not what the label says. So I follow the label. It says don't mow for a couple days before, or mow a couple days before, wait a couple days to apply it. That way you actually have some leaf coverage, some growth on the weeds. Then apply the product. It gives it more leaf coverage to attach onto, and then let it work for a couple days, 2-3 days. Don't mow right away. Don't immediately go out and mow off what you just sprayed on. So simply mowing and waiting a couple days and then waiting to mow again makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
At least I've had success that way. Also,
that's what happened to me last year.
Dry weather works too. I mean, dry weather goes a long way. I know they say they're dry in like a few hours or 24 hours. If I can plant it, I'm going to plant it where I don't have rain in the forecast for a few days. I'm also going to plan mine kind of at the top tier of that temperature range it gives you on there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? It's usually like 60 to 85 or so on most of them. I like to get towards that top threshold, because if you're trying to kill weeds this time of year and it's just still really cool out, I've found that they don't work as effectively. So I push it to the limit towards that top range of that temperature threshold. Now, if you do that, you got to be careful, because even grasses like Bermuda grass, it won't kill them, but I have seen some browning and some stress after spraying one of these weed killers. But the thing with Bermuda grass, it might stress it out. It might turn it brown just a pinch, while all the rest of those weeds are dying and turning brown. You're going to mow those out of the lawn. Then you're eventually going to mow off that top layer of brown on the Bermuda grass. You'll be back to green. So it's really simple. Dry weather, warmer temperatures, and make sure you're not mowing right before you spray or right after you spray. You do those 3 simple things with these homeowner herbicides from the big box store, your home Depot, Lowe's, or your local hardware store. You're going to see really effective results. It's that simple. But if you don't want to get one of these, Joe, and you want to get the pro option, I'm not a pro. I don't know. You better tread lightly on this, Joe, because the pros.
We're certified YouTube pros.
We're certified YouTube pros. But here's the professional option you were talking about, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if you would call this a I don't know, a professional option. I didn't really know how to label this. I mean, they sell it in a bigger size than this. But this is what I used last year. This Triad Select here. It has 4 active ingredients in there. And the biggest things that I was looking to take care of was dandelion, the chickweed, some spurge. I think I had some wild violet in my yard, and clover was a big one. I had a lot of clover. And I still have some of this left over, so I have a couple areas that I'm gonna probably spot spray this year with that. Again, I got a backpack sprayer, so I got to calibrate that first with just water in there, and just see what my pace. I think it's going to be pretty similar to the Spray Mate backpack sprayer that I've been using the last couple of years. I've had really good luck with that backpack sprayer. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. I mean, Jeff Goldblum, he approves it as well, down there at the bottom. And
Jeff Goldblum, I saw that again. If you didn't see last week's show about sand leveling, go back after this one and go watch the sand leveling discussion from last week. Joe cracked me up putting Jeff Goldblum in there, and then when I saw that this week,
the big thing with this spray, I mean, I shout out to my boy Ryan DeMay. I reached out to him on what to use in my yard, and he had suggested like a speed zone or something like this for something that's a little bit more cost effective that I can have around for a while. What I did last year was I just did a blanket spray. I sprayed everything, and it worked really well. Worked the weeds that were there, it turned brown quickly. And then by mid-April, like 3rd week of April, the lawn was starting to finally really, I hit my fertilizer the 1st week of April, and things were just starting to really take form and just fill in, and it looked good, and I'm seeing it now. I mean, my pre-scalps that I've been doing in my tall fescue have been really working out for me. And
that's like fingernails on a chalkboard, Joe. Pre-scalp.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, I'm serious.
Are you looking to add an extra step to your Bermuda lawn care season?
I'm serious.
Why scalp it once when you could scalp it 1, 2, 3 times?
I haven't scalped it to like a half
an
inch.
I know. I'm just messing.
I'm just like, I've been taking like a little bit just to get out there, get my cardio again, moving, and well, I put my first edge on my sidewalk last weekend, and I was a little pissed off about the weed whacker for how long it took to start, but I finally got it to start.
Oh,
or the string trimmer, I should say.
Yeah, the string trimmer.
The weed whacker.
It's a string trimmer. No, I'm just laughing. Sometimes doctor's orders are to get a pre-scalp. You gotta follow the doctor's orders, and if the doctor says pre-scalp, then whatever he prescribes. Hey, Joe, some people, though, whether you're going to use a homeowner, Home Depot, Lowe's, my favorite hardware stores around here, we've got the hardware store. That's actually what it's called, Joe, the hardware store. And then we have Nelson's Hardware down the street from me here in the new little town we live in. Some people they're just not going to use it, whether it be homeowner option or be a pro option. And they're going to want to find other ways to remove the weeds from their lawn. Like, if you ask me, my hands in a bucket, there's nothing quite like pulling out a bunch of nutsedge. And I know everybody's like, you can't do that. Oh my gosh, you can't do that. Okay? if you're a professional in the chat, and I know we got some professionals in the chat, but tell me if my research is wrong, because I say this, Joe. Everybody says you can't pick nutsedge. That's true, according to my research, that you can't pick nutsedge if it is mature nutsedge. But if you are uber proactive and diligent, and you see little baby nutsedges coming up in your lawn, and you're regularly going out there and removing them, they will not do the whole spreading as you hear, because they have not matured enough yet. And from what I understand, it's like 6 leaves and more. That anything under 6 leaves, they have not started developing all the nutlets and everything underground to become a bigger issue if you pull them. Because I can tell you this, aside from using that Spectracide 5 years ago, I have pulled every single nutsedge I have seen in my lawn, and I have never seen it get worse. I have never seen it get worse. It's like one of those things that lawn care people have heard, and just repeat it over and over. A hand can of water before you pull it will make it easier to pull the nutlet. That's what I do exactly, Western Mass Turf. I don't go pull them on dry days where the ground is hard. If I see little areas of it popping up, I'll do it while I'm watering, or after I water, or after rain. And from my understanding, they have not matured enough yet to start sending out all those shoots and everything they do underground. If it has 6 leaves or less and they're little baby nutsedges, you could keep going out and pulling them. And because they're babies, if they do come back, the more you pull those and you deprive them of air and sunlight and all the nutrients and conditions they need to survive, eventually they're going to die. The plant can't survive. It's like you get punched in the face over and 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 over. You get the point. Eventually, something bad's going to happen to your dome and to your brain. Okay? So, no, DeMay says no herbicides or hands needed. Is that for?
He said earlier, easiest ways to stop nutsedge is to stop watering or improve the drainage, and he's right. The drainage is like that's you'll in my yard at least. The areas in my yard that I get nutsedge is the areas where the water either lays or it doesn't have a good runoff, or it's not, the drainage isn't the greatest.
And that's another reason why I like to kind of starve my lawn of water in between waterings, aside from making the soil dry out and force the roots to go down deeper looking for some moisture. If you're not constantly putting water on the lawn, you're not providing those perfect conditions for nutsedge to say, hey, gonna set up shop here, this looks like a good spot. Yeah. You can help dry the lawn out and help get rid of that stuff just by not being overzealous with your lawn watering. Hey, see you, DeMay. Appreciate you hopping in. But yeah, nutsedge. I've picked every one I see, and it seems to work. Now, some people don't want to pick with their hands. They don't want to bend over. They don't want to use a bucket, which is beside me because I love pulling that taproot of a big old dandelion out. But Joe, you've made some videos about this, and other folks have made quite a few videos about this. You tell us here what do we got? What do we got?
These are my most viral videos on TikTok. For some reason, people just love watching weeds getting pulled. I don't know what it is, but so the left one is the grandpa's weeder. It's just this old-fashioned iron tip at the end where you just put your foot on it and it pulls it back and you pick it out. It doesn't have an automatic release like the hose link, which in the middle there, hose link. They sent me out their weed puller last year, and it has like a little release mechanism there. You can see where I pop it right here, and it pops it off. So if you got a bucket, you can just easily just pull the bucket with you, pick out the weed, and then pop it in the trash can. And at the end there is vinegar. Now you can see here it's green here. This is probably in the morning time, right when I was going to work. I leave like 8-9 o'clock in the morning to go to work. and then by like lunchtime, when I was home at lunchtime around 12, you can see it browns up. The only problem with vinegar is, I mean, the weeds will grow back at some point. So I mean, if you're still looking for a more natural, um, weed killer, I mean, you could use vinegar. You just, like, again, like I said earlier, be careful. If you have a precious,
Christmas
Christmas tree
tree.
in your yard,
How
don't
long did your
spray it near it.
How long did your son go without talking? Oh, it was just his first Christmas, so he didn't even know the
Yeah,
story.
well, what's funny is we buried our cat right next to that tree.
Dang, Joe, you're just killing it. You're hitting us with all this dead Christmas trees,
Uh,
dead cats, dead weeds. Like, is
I,
there, is
I
there,
miss that cat too.
Joe, do you want to take a minute, moment of silence?
To the lost. Yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, these are great options. Like, honestly, the Grandpa's weeder, it's like $20 on Amazon. It works great. And you can see there, I'm pulling out a dandelion. I mean, it does a great job. And then the other one there, the hose link, I use the Grandpa's weeder on crabgrass. That's crabgrass there. It does a great job. I mean, if you have some weeds in your yard, don't be afraid to get out there, get one of these things and use it. Because
Nothing
again, I
works
get like
quite like
five.
manual removal.
I get like 500,000 views on these videos.
It's
For some reason, people like love watching this stuff, and it really does work. Like, I mean, it does.
it's weird. It really is weird. But the thing about those kind of videos, you don't even have to be a lawn fan to watch it. You can be some preteen that thinks it's cool, and you're gonna get hooked on that kind of stuff. Trust me, I teach 6th and 7th graders, and they love that super satisfying type content. I don't get it, but something that's not satisfying, Joe. It is that time. I see that we're creeping up on our hour, and Joe, I want to get some feedback. It seems like we've got great discussion going on tonight about weeds. Some great information already been given. You've heard quite a bit from me, Joe. Sorry if I've talked a lot tonight, but I know your voice is on the struggle. But Joe's been sick, so we're just happy Joe's with us tonight. But do you have any last minute before we move on to something? Is there anything folks should know from a cool season end? Because when it comes to killing weeds on warm season's resilient. I mean, Bermuda, you can hit it with an herbicide,
Yeah,
and it's
I
going to
mean,
bounce back fast. What
I
about tall fescue?
yeah, I would just say, for me, my biggest thing this year is to try and get my lawn through. If you have a pretty good general thick lawn already, don't think you got to go into the fall overseed every year, or in the fall time and do an overseed every year. I mean, that's my game plan this year, is to really get my lawn through the rest of this year in good condition, and 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 then in the fall time I can hit it with a pre-emergent, and because I deal with a lot of POA in my lawn, and so I'm gonna try and really, hopefully, try and take care of that in the fall time this year. But again, just read the label like we've been talking about, and don't be afraid to get on your hands and your knees and pull some weeds out. Check out those weeders that we talked about. Like, they're really useful. Don't think you got to spray everything in your lawn.
Exactly.
No lawn's going to be perfect. Professional lawns are not going to be perfect. Just live. Make the lawn the best that you want it to be, but enjoy it at the end of the day. That's the big thing for me. Is just enjoy the lawn.
If you're
You know.
worried, and I did a video recently about quit expecting your lawn to be 100% weed free. If having weeds in your lawn is going to make you stressed and miserable or anxious about this whole game, go find something else to do. Go find something that you can control 100%, because that ain't lawn care. So weeds are just part of it. And I can tell you, my pops told me that over and over when I first got into this. Weeds are just part of it. I mean, you could do everything you can to prevent them, but you're still going to have some. And Joe, I opened myself up. I let my guard down a while ago talking about talking too much. And John came in with a right hook and just knocked me, man. So thanks, John. You got to hold me accountable. Hold me accountable, okay? But yeah, Joe, good points there.
It wasn't a goldfish, John. It was a cat that died.
Hey, if you're in the chat, okay, Joe, we're coming up on our hour mark, but things are rolling tonight. I know we've said people could slap us in the face if we go over an hour. We're going to be a pinch longer than an hour tonight because we are not going to wrap this one up and put a bow on it until we complete our newest and what will now become a weekly segment here on the Budget Wooder Show. Because what would a week be on Tuesday nights, Joe, if we didn't have our new segment called Joe Knows Hot Takes? And Joe, your hot take tonight is about...
It's about the goddamn Toro Super Recycler.
Tell us how you really feel, Joe.
And the comments I get on this video. So this video is like, I don't know, it's probably like a year and a half
Well,
old.
you were still the organic lawn warrior, if I'm seeing that correctly, right? Is that...
Well, no, that was
it?
my lawn warrior logo. And so my biggest complaint with the Toro Super Recycler is the bagging capability. And I've made a couple videos on this now where the clippings get stuck in the front of the bagger and it doesn't go all the way to the back of the bagger. So I get these comments about this lift blade, or you got to put a different blade on the lawnmower. Like, who really has the time to stop and say, "Hey, I might bag today, guys. You know what? I gotta."
Is it really? It's really like that?
I gotta put on the lift blade for this one because I gotta bag the lawn. No, like, you think, like, my dad had a commercial business. We talked about, he had a lawn business. You think my dad's like, oh, I'm gonna bag that lawn. I'm gonna take off the 36-inch lawnmowers. I'm gonna take off both those blades and put on the bagging blades, guys. No, no, it's just a horrible design. And sorry, Toro, you guys suck at making a good bagging lawnmower. And don't get me wrong, it mulches great, but bagging wise, I'm not gonna go out there and buy another blade. Like, that's just not what it's like. I'm not gonna do that.
That's too many decisions. Here are the decisions. If I'm gonna have a hobby where I have to change things in and out, it's gonna be, I'm gonna start playing golf all the time again, because it's like, oh, do I need a 7-iron or a 6? Is there more cold beer, or we need more at the turn? Like, when we get to the pro shop, let's grab another 6-pack. If I got to switch out a mower blade, that would have been a deal breaker for me. I would have never bought it.
I would never buy another Toro again. And I bought it because, the lawn community and the hype of the Toro lawnmower, the lawn community, all these people got one. They constantly make these videos about the electric one and and everything like that. And they're
Are those sour grapes that you didn't get one, Joe?
A little bit, but that's in the past,
Dude.
And,
sorry, Joe, but Super TA, you got it, buddy. 10 more minutes. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And Western Mass Turf gets it. If you know anything about golf and you're on the fence about a 7 or an 8, a 7 or a 6, a 6 or a 5, club up every time. Club up. Choke down. Swing easy. Don't try to muscle up a dang 7-iron when you can pull a 6 out of the bag. Nobody's impressed by you giving it hell with a 7-iron trying to reach the green. Club up, take a 6, swing smooth, put it on the green, pin high, and then miss your birdie putt, because that's probably going to happen anyways.
I know what I like to do?
What,
I like
Joe?
to get a 6-iron and go to ham on the friggin' bagger on the Toro Super Recycler.
No, you don't need a 7-iron.
You know what?
6-iron. You need an old fashioned 1-iron that's just like straight out like a rocket.
The first time I went to a driving range, I was like, I don't know, not first time, but I went to a driving range like 5 years ago for the first time in a long time, and I took the driver out of the bag. First swing, driver snapped. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, there goes my fun,
That's when you're like, back to the cart, give me another beer. But so if I'm gonna, that's one of the nice things about, you can say what you want about a fancy mower, a cheap mower, whatever it is.
I go back to the lawn boy. I wish I would have gotten like a lawn boy at the end of the day.
The Troy-Bilt
can't go wrong.
My Troy-Bilt, man. I go out to the garage. I fill that sucker up with gas. I don't have to think about it. It's a push mower. No self-propelled, no automatic, none of that. None of those bells and whistles. I just, boom, a little Honda engine turns, it starts on the first pull every time, and I'm off to the races. And sometimes you're out there trying to beat rain, right? You got time to change a mower blade out? No, absolutely not. So yeah, I'm always, I hate to say this, but as my kids get older, doing lawn care, sometimes you're in more of a rush. And that kind of stinks sometimes because that's the
If
argument
I
against
if I
battery
visit my
powered equipment.
if I visit my parents again this summer, I'll get my dad's X mark out and I'll bag with an actual lawnmower that I can bag right, and I'll show people how it's supposed to be done. But
Sweet.
yeah,
In I've been teetering on this idea, Joe, and I want to get your feedback since we've kind of
mm,
migrated over to lawnmowers. But I want to get your feedback and see what folks think in the chat. But so I was taking my daughter to gymnastics one afternoon, and there was this. I think it was a rent-a-center place or a Buddies, like one of
yeah,
those rental places.
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
so weird. In the window of the store, I saw this like stack of just two lawnmowers. And you know when a box with colored graphics has been sitting in the sun of a window for too long, it's like
yeah,
completely faded.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and these two lawnmowers have sat somewhere or sat in that window for so long at this rental place. They're for sale. They're not for rent.
yeah.
The front face of those boxes is just like completely faded. And I was sitting there one time looking at those things and said, that would be kind of a cool content idea to say, all right, look, I'm buying this mower. I think they were like $100 or something like that. They were dirt cheap in a
What was the
box.
brand?
I don't even remember the brand, but just
Mm,
as a way to say, look, if you're worried about how fancy or expensive your lawnmower is, or that doesn't,
mm,
it's not up to par to some of these greens mowers or real mowers or fancy rotary mowers that you're seeing on the internet, then you're
yeah.
focused on the wrong thing. If you think it's the mower that makes the magic, that's not always the case.
Speaking of mowers, I sold my Greenworks reel mower that I bought like
Did it
2 years
suck?
ago. It did the job when I did a renovation. I was trying to, when the grasses were starting to first pop, I didn't want a heavy mower. I didn't have my 21-inch super recycler at the time. I had the 36-inch X Mark at the time, and I didn't want anything like super heavy on the lawn. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and found this reel mower, and it worked great. I sharpened the bend knife on there and everything, and I sold it to somebody this week on Marketplace, and good luck to them with
I have
doing it the old fashioned way.
I haven't told a lot of people this, but I've been curious to maybe try this mower out. My wife's in the chat saying, "No, we don't need another mower." But man, I've told you a little bit about my plans for the yard and the front yard. I'm getting rid of a lot of the turf, and we're going to a lot of landscape spots. And I've got that California trimmer. It sits in the garage, but I plan on doing some experimenting where that California trimmer hits parts of the yard, but it's not the go-to. I want folks that watch the channel to not feel like they have to have a fancy, expensive reel mower to have a nice lawn. So you're going to see in different parts of my yard where it's rotary mode, where it's manually reel mode with a push reel mower, and then small sections that are mowed with a powered reel mower. So, and maybe I'll go back and get one of those cheap lawn mowers in a box that no telling how long they've been sitting there. Because folks need to realize it's not the mower, it's the frequency with which you use the lawnmower. If you use a lawnmower, any lawnmower, a lot, it's going to
I think
make
you need a
all the
I think
difference
you
in the
need a
world.
I think you need a battery lawnmower next.
Me?
Yeah, I love my battery lawnmowers.
And let me take that back. Make sure your lawnmower mulches, okay? Make sure it mulches. If I were to say you're going to get one lawnmower, and it has to mulch because I never put a bag on mine unless I'm scalping. Otherwise, I'm throwing those clippings back into the lawn.
I'm a side discharger.
You're a side discharger. Why?
Do you know what that means?
With your lawnmower? Are you trying to
Yeah.
give me some like weird hidden? Yeah, I know what side discharge means. And my dad
Yeah.
had the old snapper, and it has a little chute on the side. It shoots out the side. Mine's a side discharger too, but I just use it to mulch.
Yeah, I don't know. We always side discharge with the big X Mart, and we would put the flap down on certain spots, so when you get in mulch beds and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I like, I don't know, for something about it. I kind of like the discharging it to the side rather than the mulching. Sometimes I don't know. I don't know. It makes for good content, when you get bored and you don't have anything else to make. So
Well, and that's the big game, right? Um,
yeah,
it's and that's to me. If I'm watching lawn care stuff on YouTube, which I've told you before, I'm honest, I don't watch a whole lot of stuff. But I don't know if
good,
he's
because
if
there's a lot of crap out there.
I don't know if he's watching, but I really like what he does because he really just kind of does show us what he's doing in his lawn. He's at times he's been a little bit heavy on promotion of products and stuff like that. But Dino over at the Lawn
Yeah,
Shark, he
yeah,
ever
yeah,
since he moved into that newer home,
yeah,
not
yeah,
new, but newer to him, he's
yeah.
really shown just how he's transformed that. And it's been a 2-year process. And that's the freaking fun part. These people that think they're going to buy a house and in that first season that it should be all the way complete. By the end of the year, they
Well,
should have the
he
lawn they want. Is just
he goes guns blazing when he does a project
he does,
because
man. He's already had like 4 different grass types in his
yeah,
lawn, but
yeah.
it makes for good content, right? If
Oh yeah,
if he were just out there mowing just a nicely manicured lawn all the time, I would be like, I don't care what Dino's doing right
I
now
think
because
I think he's getting into some woodworking as well. I've been noticing too. So he's
so
been, he does a little bit of everything.
he's one of my favorite ones to catch up on because I like seeing processes unfold. If it's
Yeah,
something that's every time I look at your lawn, it's the same thing. I get bored with that. I like change. I'm big into change. I want things to change, and I like them to change often. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Joe, I think we have passed that 10-minute extra mark. Give us a thumbs up in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button. Tell us, was this extra 10 minutes worth it, or did we start just blowing hot air and wasting your time? Cool? Let us know.
cool.
That
Yeah,
feedback really does help. But I hope tonight you've taken away a couple things. You've awesome. Appreciate that feedback. That weeds really aren't that big of a deal, and you don't need to stress about them. Neither is the brand of your lawnmower or what everybody else is doing. You just do you and find that like sweet spot in your lawn, and I promise you,
it's
it
not
sound
always about the size.
it's about
It's
how
about
you
how you
work
use
it.
it.
Yeah, it's about how you work it. And I know some people. I ask my wife. I'm not one of those like very fuzzy feeling type guys, and it's hard for me sometimes to talk about that stuff in videos and some of my posts. But I got one coming out this week that hopefully it'll be some motivation for some of you if you're struggling with that, feeling like you always got to keep up with the Joneses because you do not have to keep up with the Joneses. All you got to do is you, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, do what you love the most, and just keep on doing it. And that's kind of why I changed my mentality this year and just say, fuck it, do what you want.
If you're finding that you're not getting those same kind of feelings out of other shows or channels on YouTube, and you just want to come hang out once a week, Tuesday nights, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, here on the Budget Wooder Show. Joe and I are kind of heading in the same direction with our approach. Like, just freaking have fun and do what you want to do. Enjoy every step along the way. And if you want people that are going through that same motion in the ocean, we're here for you on Tuesday nights. Joe, I got no other thoughts. We're gonna wrap it up. I got to get on Storm Watch because they are a coming. Want to
Yeah,
wrap it?
yeah. The only thing I'm gonna say is tune in next week, like we said, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more energy next week. And this has been good. I'm glad I got on. It's fun. I enjoy doing this every week. Honestly, guys, I enjoy doing this more than I do my regular videos. It's been great getting to know Travis, and talk to him each week and plan the show. And we really do enjoy it, and we put a lot of thought into it. And we really hope that everyone enjoys it. So, and please comment not just on the chat, comment on the video as well once it's published, and give us some feedback on there as well. It really does help out with the video, helps out with Travis's channel, helps out with this show, the Budget Water Show. So please,
and your channel,
do all of that, and my channel if you're interested in someone like me.
Amen. Well, that's where we're going to wrap it up tonight. Thanks for everybody in the chat, all your feedback to let us know these extra 10 minutes were worth it. We're not going to push our luck, but maybe we'll leave it as an option every week, Joe, that perhaps we can roll just a little bit longer. But until next time, take care. Have a good week. We'll see you soon.